The air in the mall was thick with the scent of fresh pretzels and the sound of children's laughter mingling with the soft hum of a distant piano. I leaned back on the bench, enjoying a rare moment of tranquility amidst my otherwise hectic life. My son, Alex, had darted off to peruse the latest video games, promising to return before his excitement could wear thin. Elaine Johnson, as I live and breathe. The voice, unmistakably familiar and unwelcome, sliced through the mall's din, causing my spine to stiffen. I didn't need to turn around to know who it was. Mark, my ex-husband, stood there with that same smirk that once charmed me, now only repulsed me. "What are you doing here, Mark?" I asked, hoping to mask the sudden unease in my voice. He chuckled, a sound that crawled unpleasantly up my spine. "Just shopping. But imagine my surprise finding you here. Still barren, I presume?" The word hit me like a physical blow. Memories of our struggles, the painful treatments, and the endless blame came flooding back. I bit back the hurt, focusing on the here and now. "That's none of your business." Mark's lips twisted into a sneer as he stepped aside, revealing a young girl beside him. "Meet Jasmine, my daughter. Beautiful, isn't she? Something you could never give me." The girl looked uncomfortable, caught in a snare she didn't understand. Her eyes briefly met mine, a silent plea for an escape. Before I could respond, Alex approached, his eyes wide with curiosity. "Mom, who's this?" I hurried to smooth over the tension. "Alex, this is Mark, an old friend, and you must be Jasmine." I offered her a warm smile. "Son, huh? He doesn't look anything like you. Adoption or—" Mark's insinuation was clear, his words drenched in malice. Alex's brow furrowed, confusion turning to indignation. "I'm her son, and she's the best mom anyone could ask for." Mark laughed, a hollow sound. "Let's see how long that lasts. Come on, Jasmine. Let's leave the happy family to their delusions." As they walked away, I felt Alex's hand slip into mine, a silent gesture of solidarity. I squeezed back, grateful beyond words for the family I had, the family we chose to be. "Why was he so mean, Mom?" Alex asked, his voice small. "Some people," I started, my gaze following Mark's retreating figure, "never learn how to be kind. But we choose to be better, to be thankful for what we have." Alex nodded, the incident already sliding off his youthful resilience. "Can we get ice cream now?" I laughed, the sound mingling with the mall's ambiance, a balm to the sting of Mark's words. "Yes, let's go get that ice cream." In that moment, walking beside my son, I realized that no matter what Mark said or did, he could never touch the joy and love that was my family. His poison words fell on the solid ground of our unity, our strength together. And in that echoing halls of the mall, I felt an unspoken promise swell between us, a pledge of enduring love and support, no matter what shadows the past threw our way. The tranquility of the evening was a stark contrast to the afternoon's bitter encounter. As Dean, my husband, set the table and Alex helped with the dishes, the cozy warmth of our home wrapped around me like a comforting shawl. These moments, these simple acts of a family living and thriving together, were my solace. Dean noticed my lingering pensiveness. "Elaine, you've been quiet. Is everything okay?" I hesitated, not wanting to bring the shadow of Mark into our home, but I knew I couldn't keep it from Dean. "I ran into Mark today at the mall," I confessed, watching for his reaction. Dean's face hardened momentarily, a testament to the history we all shared, the history Mark had almost destroyed. "Did he say something to you?" I recounted the encounter, watching Dean's expression shift from concern to outright anger, especially when I mentioned how Mark introduced Jasmine and belittled our family. "That man," Dean sighed, shaking his head, "he's just trying to get under your skin. But he's the past, Elaine. We're your present and future." Alex chimed in, his youthful voice determined. "Yeah, Mom. You always say that we choose our family. Dean is more of a dad than Mark could ever be. Who cares what Mark says?" I smiled at them, my heart swelling with gratitude. "Thank you, both of you. I don't know what I did to deserve you to." "You existed," Dean said simply, pulling me into a hug, with Alex joining in. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of laughter and shared stories, the earlier encounter with Mark slowly fading into the background. But as we settled down for the night, Dean's arms wrapped protectively around me, I couldn't shake off a lingering sense of unease. Mark was unstable and unpredictable. What if he decided not to stop at just verbal taunts? The following day, my fears materialized in a way I hadn't anticipated. Dean's phone buzzed incessantly with notifications, and when he checked, his face went pale. "What's wrong?" I asked, dread pooling in my stomach. "It's Mark," Dean said, showing me his phone. Social media was abuzz with posts from Mark, vile accusations painting me as the villain in our marriage, twisting the story of our infertility struggles into malicious lies about my character. Dean was up in an instant, his voice tight with anger. "I'm going to call him. This ends now." "No, Dean," I caught his hand, stopping him. "That's exactly what he wants, to provoke us. We won't give him the satisfaction." "But Elaine, we can't let him slander you like this." Dean's concern was palpable, his need to protect us overwhelming. I took a deep breath, my resolve hardening. "We'll do this the right way. Let's talk to a lawyer, and we'll reach out to the school, make sure Alex is shielded from this." Alex, having overheard parts of our conversation, came over. "Mom, Dad, is Mark trying to hurt us again?" "We won't let him, honey," Dean reassured him, pulling him close. "Your mom is right. We'll handle this maturely, and together." "As a family," Alex agreed, his young face set in a determined frown. That moment, huddled together, I realized that no matter what Mark threw our way, he couldn't touch the core of what made us a family. We had survived his storms before. We would do it again, with our dignity intact and our bonds stronger than ever. The sunlight poured into the kitchen, casting a warm glow over our breakfast table. Alex was midway through his cereal when the silence was broken by a knock at the door. Glancing at the clock, I frowned. Who could that be so early in the morning? Dean went to answer it, and I followed, curiosity piqued. Standing on our doorstep was a man I vaguely recognized, one of the dads from Alex's soccer games. His face was grim. "Morning, Dean, Elaine. Sorry to come by unannounced," he began, his eyes darting between us and the ground. "It's about Mark. He was at the game yesterday talking to some of the parents." Dean's posture stiffened. "What did he say?" The man hesitated, clearly uncomfortable. He was telling people terrible things about Elaine and Alex. Anger bubbled inside me, but I swallowed it down, focusing on the more immediate concern. Did Alex hear any of this? Thankfully, he hadn't. But the damage was done. Rumors, once started, were hard to quash. I thanked the man for letting us know, my mind racing with the implications of Mark's actions. Dean was furious, pacing the living room. "He's crossing lines, Elaine. We need to stop him." I nodded, feeling a mix of anger and fear myself. "Let's call the lawyer. Today. We need to protect Alex from this." Dean agreed, and we spent the morning in a flurry of activity. Phone calls to legal counsel, followed by an unexpected but necessary call to Alex's school, explaining the situation and asking for their support and vigilance. As we sat back down, trying to gather our thoughts, Alex walked in, oblivious to the storm brewing around him. "Is everything okay?" he asked, sensing the tension. Dean and I exchanged a look, then decided on honesty. "Someone was saying unkind things about our family, Alex. We're taking care of it." Alex's expression hardened, a mirror of Dean's from earlier. "Mark?" "Yes, but listen, Alex, what he says about us, about you, it doesn't matter. We know the truth. We are a family, and we stand by each other, okay?" I held Alex's gaze, trying to convey a certainty I barely felt. Alex nodded, a mix of anger and maturity in his eyes, far beyond his years. "I know. I don't care what he says. You're my mom and Dean's my dad. That's all I care about." His words, so simple and yet so profound, bolstered my resolve. Dean knelt down, wrapping Alex in a hug. "We've got this, sport. We're a team, right?" "Right," Alex affirmed, his voice muffled against Dean's shoulder. After Alex left for school, Dean turned to me, determination lighting his features. "We'll fight this, Elaine. Mark won't get away with trying to hurt our family." I nodded, the fear within me slowly giving way to a fierce protective instinct. Mark wanted a fight, he would get one, but not the kind he was expecting. We would use truth and law, dignity and unity, and we would win, for Alex, for our family's right to peace and happiness. The week that followed was a blur of legal consultations, meetings with the school, and an undercurrent of tension that pervaded our home. Despite our efforts to shield him, Alex felt the brunt of our stress, becoming quieter, his usual light dimmed by the shadow of Mark's actions. Then a breakthrough came. Our lawyer, Miss Hammond, called us one afternoon with a plan. "I think it's time we took a more proactive approach. Let's file a restraining order against Mark. It's clear his intentions are to harass and intimidate." Dean and I exchanged glances. "Do we have enough to get one?" he asked. Miss Hammond's voice was confident. "With the evidence of his public slander and your testimonies about his behavior, yes, and it will send a clear message that his actions have consequences." The decision made, we felt a semblance of control returning. But it was the call we received the next day that truly shifted the balance. I answered the phone to find the principal of Alex's school on the line. "Mrs. Johnson, I wanted to inform you personally that Mark showed up at the school today. He was asking to speak with Alex. Our staff intervened and he was escorted off the premises." A cold fear gripped me. Did Alex see him? "No, thankfully. We were prepared just as you asked, but I think it might be time to consider additional steps for Alex's safety." Hanging up, I relayed the information to Dean, watching as his face went through a gamut of emotions: fear, anger, determination. "That does it," Dean said, his voice low but fierce. "We're not playing defense anymore. It's time to go on the offensive." Armed with renewed resolve and Miss Hammond's legal advice, we pursued the restraining order with vigor. The process was expedited given the circumstances, and within days the court granted our request. Mark was duly served, and the silence that followed was both a relief and a tense anticipation of his next move. We bolstered our defenses, informed everyone from neighbors to Alex's coaches, and waited. The retaliation came in an unexpected form. One evening, while Dean and I were discussing our day, Alex burst through the door, his face flushed with a mix of anger and betrayal. "Why didn't you tell me?" he demanded, throwing a crumpled piece of paper on the table. Dean picked it up, unfolding it to reveal a crudely made flyer, filled with lies about our family, our supposed crimes, all leading back to Mark's twisted narrative. "Alex, where did you get this?" "They were handing them out near the school. Someone gave it to me. Said my family was a bunch of liars." Alex's eyes were brimming with tears, his young face contorted in pain. Dean stood, his expression hardening. "That's enough. Mark wants to fight dirty. We'll make sure he regrets it." Our response was swift. Miss Hammond filed for an immediate cease and desist against Mark, backed by the restraining order. We also turned to the community, sharing our story with anyone willing to listen, countering Mark's lies with the truth. The results were immediate, support poured the flyer campaign backfiring spectacularly on Mark. The community rallied around us, their support a tangible shield against Mark's vindictiveness. And as we sat down that night, a family united against adversity, Alex spoke up. "He can't break us, can he?" "No, Alex," I answered, squeezing his hand. "He can't. We're stronger than his hate. We're together, and that's what matters." In that moment, the fear and uncertainty that had clouded our days lifted slightly, a beacon of hope shining through the darkness. Mark's attempts to tear us apart had only served to bind us closer, our resolve unbreakable, our determination fierce. We were a family, built not on blood but on love, respect, and an unyielding commitment to stand by each other, no matter what storms may come. The morning was unusually calm, a reprieve from the storm that had become our daily life. As we finished breakfast, a sense of unease settled over me, the quiet before the storm. The doorbell rang, slicing through the silence. Dean went to answer it, and I followed, apprehensive. At the door stood Brenda, Mark's current wife, her face twisted in anger and accusation. "You've taken it too far this time, Elaine," Brenda spat, stepping into our home uninvited. "Because of you, Mark's life is ruined. Everyone looks at us like we're the villains." Dean blocked her path, his voice steady but firm. "Mark brought this on himself, Brenda. He harassed and slandered my family. We only sought protection." Brenda's laugh was void of humor. "Protection? From what? Mark was just telling the truth about you people. And now, you've got the whole town turned against us." I stepped forward, confronting Brenda's misguided fury. The truth is that Mark has done nothing but attempt to tear my family apart with lies and intimidation. We did what was necessary to protect ourselves. You should understand that as a mother." Brenda sneered. "Mother? Don't you dare lecture me about motherhood when you've stolen mine and Mark's reputation over your delusions." Before the argument could escalate further, Alex's voice cut through. "Enough." He stood at the foot of the stairs, his presence commanding silence. "All I see is someone trying to hurt my mom again. Why can't you just leave us alone?" The room fell silent, Brenda's anger faltering under the weight of Alex's words. Before Brenda could muster another attack, a police car pulled into view outside our window. Neighbors, drawn by the commotion, watched as 2 officers approached our door. Dean opened it for them, explaining the situation as Brenda's face paled. Seeing her opportunity to strike back slipping away, she turned to leave, muttering threats under her breath. The police, after a brief discussion, assured us they would patrol more frequently and advised Brenda to steer clear of our property. As they left and the door closed behind them, Dean turned to us, wrapping Alex and me in a hug. "This is far from over, but we've shown that we won't be intimidated. We'll stand up for each other, no matter what comes." I looked at Dean and then at Alex, their faces set in determination. "Together," I echoed, the word a promise of unity against Mark and Brenda's attempt to isolate and frighten us. That night, as we sat down to dinner, the day's events were a stark reminder of the battle we faced, not just against Mark, but against those willing to champion his cause without knowing the full story. Yet, in the glow of our home, with Dean and Alex by my side, I knew no amount of outside hatred could penetrate the solid foundation of love and support we had built. Mark had hoped to shatter us, but instead he fortified our resolve, each attack making it clearer that while he sought to divide, he only managed to unite us more closely than ever before. The challenges would continue, but so would our resilience. For every action Mark took to break us, we would respond with the unyielding strength of a family bound by choice, not by blood. A family unbreakable in the face of adversity. The repercussions of Brenda's unwelcome visit were immediate. Word of the confrontation spread quickly through our small community, once again thrusting our family into the local spotlight. But this time, the narrative had shifted. Sympathy and support from neighbors and friends poured in, contrasting sharply with the isolation we had braced for. In our kitchen, the heart of our home, Dean, Alex, and I convened for an impromptu family meeting to decide on our next steps. The atmosphere was charged with a mix of resolve and trepidation. Dean opened the discussion, his voice resolute. "We can't let this go on. It's not just about us anymore. It's about setting a precedent that harassment and lies won't be tolerated." I heard some kids at school talking. Alex interjected, his youthful face set in an unexpectedly mature expression. "They were saying how crazy it was, what Mark and Brenda are doing. Even they see it's wrong." I leaned forward, tapping into the collective strength we had fostered over these tumultuous weeks. "Then it's settled. We take our story public. We write an op-ed for the local newspaper, share our side, the truth. We make it clear we're standing up not just for ourselves, but for anyone who faces intimidation." Our decision marked a turning point. The op-ed, once published, became a rallying cry. Emails and calls flooded in, not with threats or accusations, but with stories echoing our own, voices that had been silenced by fear now empowered to speak up. The community's response was overwhelmingly supportive, transforming our once private battle into a public discourse on the right to live free of harassment and defamation. Yet, amidst this newfound solidarity, the specter of Mark and Brenda's animosity loomed. They had grown quiet, a silence that was as unsettling as their previous attacks. That silence broke one evening. Brenda appeared on our doorstep, alone this time, her demeanor markedly different. Dean answered her knock, his stance wary but composed. I've come to apologize," Brenda began, her voice faltering, a stark contrast to her earlier fury. "I was wrong, about everything. Mark? He's left, took off after the article, said he couldn't handle the backlash." Her admission was a bombshell, one that left us grappling with a mix of vindication and empathy. Mark's departure, though a relief, was also a poignant reminder of the havoc he had wreaked on all our lives. "Thank you for your apology," Dean said after a moment. His response measured. "We hope you find a way to move past this, for you and your family's sake." As Brenda turned to leave, a weight seemed to lift from our home, the shadow Mark had cast slowly receding. In the days that followed, our community knitted closer together, our family's ordeal becoming a catalyst for change. Local initiatives sprang up, aimed at supporting those facing similar challenges, turning our story into a beacon of hope. And through it all, our family emerged stronger, not just surviving the storm, but thriving in its aftermath. Where Mark had sought to shatter us, he inadvertently forged us into something stronger, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit when grounded in love and unity. As we sat down to dinner, the laughter and conversation flowing freely, it was clear. We had weathered the storm, and in its wake found ourselves not just intact but invigorated, ready to face whatever the future might hold, together. In the wake of Brenda's apology and Mark's departure, our community's tide of support had not ebbed. If anything, it intensified. However, one loose thread remained: Brenda's daughter, Mirabelle, inadvertently caught in the crossfire of her parents' actions. One afternoon, Dean and I were in the living room when Alex bounced in, a nervous excitement in his step. "Mom, Dean, guess who I ran into today in the park?" We exchanged curious glances. "Who?" I asked. "Mirabelle," he replied, his tone implying the significance of the encounter. Dean's eyebrows raised in surprise. "Really? How is she doing?" Alex hesitated, choosing his words. "She's okay, I guess. She said she's staying with her aunt now. She also said she was sorry about everything." The revelation prompted a moment of contemplative silence. Mirabelle, like Alex, was an innocent in the saga that had unfolded. "Did you talk to her?" Dean pressed gently, always the advocate for understanding and reconciliation. "Yeah, we did. She's actually really nice, and she feels terrible about her dad's actions," Alex admitted, his earlier animosity tempered by the face-to-face encounter. Seeing an opportunity for healing and perhaps closure, I suggested, "Maybe we should invite her over, have a small get-together. It might be good for both you and her, Alex." Dean nodded in agreement. "It's a generous gesture, and it's the right thing to do. Let her know she's not responsible for her father's actions." The invitation was extended, and on a bright Saturday, Mirabelle came over. The initial awkwardness soon gave way to genuine conversation and shared laughter, a testament to the forgiving spirit of youth and the resilience they possessed. As the afternoon wore on, it was heartening to see Alex and Mirabelle find common ground, their tentative friendship blossoming amid the remnants of their parents' storm. Dean and I watched them, a shared look of relief and perhaps pride passing between us. In the quiet that followed Mirabelle's departure, Alex approached us, a thoughtful look on his face. "Today was cool. I think it helped, talking to Mirabelle. It's like closing a book on a bad chapter." Dean ruffled his hair affectionately. "That's my boy, always looking for the silver lining." "And finding it," I added, wrapping an arm around each of them. "We faced adversity, but we came out stronger, more united." Dean's smile was reflective. This whole ordeal taught us a lot about empathy, about resilience, and about the power of community. "And family," I concluded, the word encompassing more than just the three of us. It included Mirabelle, our neighbors, and every friend who had stood by us. As we moved forward, the shadow of the past no longer loomed over us. Instead, we embraced a future filled with promise, understanding, and the knowledge that whatever challenges we might face, we would do so together, fortified by love, supported by our community, and with hearts open to forgiveness and renewal. In that moment, gathered in our living room, the saga that had started with discord and division concluded with unity and hope, a beacon for us and anyone who had followed our journey, a testament to the enduring power of human compassion and resilience.